Hello, my friends. This is it. 11 graduates, the most we've ever had. It's a little bit different because it's like one extra day because last weekend I did 2 graduate show in a row. But basically, sometimes there's a little, sometimes there's a lot. In general, we're growing as a site, and so there's going to be more graduates. Also, in general, what we're seeing is we're getting more graduates in the under 1,000. This makes total sense because the further up you go, the harder it is, the more competitive it becomes, and the harder it is, the slower it will be to move up in general. Today was a big day for me because the Chessable course came out, so I'm like frazzled by emails and comments and do this and do that. But I set this thing up, and I'm pumped to do the show. I'm always pumped to do the show. And I'm going to do my best to go through these players and their games and their achievement here. So, number 1, we have Izzy Serious, maybe the best name in dojo history, right? Izzy Serious, great name. And Izzy graduated already he began at 0400 and then is now, then 400 to 600 and is now 600 to 700. So what I'm going to show is just what Izzy has done in the 400 to 600 cohort here. And there Izzy is, also known as Darth Varg. Began this cohort at 844 Chesscom, 962, 118 points, 9 points per box in general. If you see somebody over 5 points per box, it means they're flying a little bit. So I fully expect Izzy to have more success going up the ladder. You can see 6 games there, 2 analyzed. We're going to look at one of those today. And then some made in 1s, excuse me. And then we've got a bunch of other things like the First Chess Workbook, Puzzle Rush Survival, Puzzle Storm, and games. So Izzy's looking good, and I fully expect now that Izzy will go up. Well, we're gonna see, let's just say this: we're gonna see Izzy again. So let's switch to our game review, and check out Izzy's game here. Izzy, actually, I couldn't find one of Izzy's games, so this is actually Izzy from his opponent's perspective. So. One thing about this, of course, is at this level, neither Izzy or Elysian should be studying openings. Let's read this, actually, what Elysian says here. This response seems pretty common at this level, but without theoretical knowledge to follow up, I'm not convinced it's a good one. Well, I'll tell you what's not good is developing your queen early. Okay? So either knight f3 or c3 here would be better than queen d4. Okay. Let's read, actually, Elysian's got some great notes here. Now, Elysian is not the one graduating, and normally, so I don't want to spend too much time on the notes, but I'm really actually enjoying so far what I'm reading. I've read online that the Sicilian is supposed to give white a development lead in exchange for a black central majority. But it seems in this position that black is gaining the development lead as well. Now, what's hilarious about this position is G6 allows white to transpose to the something I cover in the aggressive repertoire, which was published today. Namely, after knight f3, it's difficult. The e5 threat creates the need for black to play d6, and then white can play e5, and it's this whole kind of variation where white's a little bit better. Not what we should be talking about today. So we'll say d6 is slightly better from a theoretical point of view, but I forget I said any of that garbage. g6 is fine. Bishop f4, a little weird. e5. Awkward, because now the d5 square is in trouble. And so d6 would have made a lot of sense. Good. 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 Now, one of the things that's interesting about Elysian's notes is I think Elysian is just noticing now that the d5 square is a thing and the bishop on c4 actually looks pretty content with life. So I think it's e5 should have been noted for black as a problem. Sometimes, by the way, I don't look as well as I should at the chat because I'm involved in the game. So if I don't, I apologize in advance. So a6, and now Izzy kind of loses his mind. The thing to be noted about this a6 move is you're not yet threatening b5 because of bishop takes b5. So the most natural move would be a developing move of the knight. If you wanted to get ultra frisky, you could start pushing the pawn, but you know, I'd like you to develop the knight. So, in fact, any move that isn't one of those moves I'm going to be unhappy with. Izzy gets frisky here. Now we can just take that knight. Bam! Good move. And not only are we going to win the 2 pieces for the rook, but the rook on a8 was not developed. The knight on c3 was one of white's best pieces because of the d5 square. The bishop on c4 was one of the best pieces because of c4, f7. It's all going away now, Izzy. You might as well bows. It should be said, this doesn't really, it loses time in exchange for a pawn by taking. Now, black writes that black has a small or clear advantage. I would say this feels like a winning advantage to me. The problem when you give up the rook like this, I mean, you give it 2 pieces, is the white rooks aren't yet powerful. The minors, however, are really angry, and the queen is going to need some moments before she gets back. Okay? G3. Now, I'm going to read this comment. I hope it says this move is incorrect because of loss of time. It should also say, I don't know why you're doing it, Bow. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Preparing a kingside attack. I don't know why they're doing it. So if you're going to make a pawn move, it's definitely f3. So, Izzy, we can see here that you played a couple of good moves in the opening to get your pieces developed. And now, ultimately, what's keeping you back from the next level in your chess development is your hanging stuff. That simple. Okay? That simple. Good move. And now Elysian says they're winning. Correct. I don't know if it's necessary, but fine. Okay, now look what black did. I was maybe not necessary. I did this when I was a kid too. I was like, I'm ahead. I'm going to trade everything off. And sometimes actually, in general, it's a good piece of advice, but sometimes people discoordinate their pieces so much to get the exchange. Here, black is in fact really winning. Oh, I like h6 a lot. I like the h6 a lot to prevent the h3 knight from moving. Okay, oh, we want to go to c4, my friend. Now we're never leaving either. Now we're never leaving. Good move. Oh, beautiful play. Wow. Good moves. Good moves, Elysian. Good moves. Okay, so this is winning. And what we can say is Izzy will progress. And the general thing that I've said from the start is to break it out of the 1,000 category. It's going to be about not hanging stuff. Okay? The development stuff is something you can learn. You can get good at it fairly quickly. Learning not to hang stuff is actually more difficult. But once you do, you're going to start flying, Izzy. Start flying. One thing we'll say, Izzy, is I'm sure it would help if you annotated the game's bows. If you did it, buddy. If you did it. Not Elysian. We don't want Elysian to do it, man. We want you to do it. Okay. Let's do a little test here. We're going to see. Kostya said he set me up with an exclam chessable. Let's just see if it works. Chessable. Pop. There it is, bows. Yeah. Worked hard on that thing. A lot of people in the dojo helped out by just playing it, illustrative games, the whole thing. All right, let's do the next game. This is from Matt Cowman. This is Matt Cowman's notes. Let's flip it up. And after this, we'll go search Matt Cowman down on the score sheet. Oh, this is hilarious. Okay, this is an interesting. This is a noteworthy note. So, e4, e5. I need to learn another opening. I'm so tired of the wayward queen attack. What is the wayward queen attack? This unprincipled nonsense. Okay. Now, this thing, sadly for all chess principles out there, maybe white isn't losing directly after queen h5. Maybe. I'm not, man, they might be losing. But in any case, they're not, it doesn't seem like they're lost. And so maybe you can play chess this way. It's no reason to give up e5. There's going to be the equivalent of the wayward queen attack no matter what you do. Now, you've heard this rant before, my friends. I'm going to give it to you again. At this level, you should not be studying openings, whether it's e5 or whatever it is. It's not the time. Principled moves will do more for you and produce better results, especially long-term, because you want to ingrain them instead of just doing some opening scheme. Okay, okay. Little frisky, because you're not developing a piece, right? Okay, very frisky. And now bishop g5, okay. Okay, frisky. So the problem will be, okay, so I was going to say the problem will be after bishop b3, will black be able to defend the pawn? But in fact, just taking is also a little hard for us to deal with. That's a poor move. Okay, so white should play bishop b3. The knight on b4 cannot stay there. We can always kick it with c3. The pawn on d5 will be hard to defend. Okay, we're going to say thank you for developing, though. Let's read. I wasn't quite sure what this move was for, but quickly discovered it was to protect d4. Now, we got to say, I mean, whether he did it to protect d4 or not, you know, the elite ninja just wanted also to bring out their knight and to make bishop g4 not totally crushing. Let's do a quick variation. By the way, a lot of people ask me, they're like, Kraai, where are the tactics in the Chess Dojo training program? And every time I say a similar thing and no one believes me, but I just want to point it out. The question in a position like this would be, can I play bishop g4? Okay, and then we get into it. You know, so first of all, we have to examine bishop f4, bishop f6, bishop f3, bishop d8, bishop e2, right? And then we want to try to evaluate that position. One reason to not castle and try to think about bishop g4 first is if the queens do get traded, then it's a pretty cool deal for us to not castle, because then our king will be good in the endgame, in the middle of the board. And that's how we learn tactics. And those kinds of things with like bishop g4 and does it work, does it not, takes practice. And if you do it in your game analysis, that's where, you know, you'll end up being able to just first see it in your actual games and then be able to calculate it out. A lot of times you get very long-winded variations like this. Okay, here we go. Pop, pop. Controversial because it's not a developing move. Okay. Again, we should calculate bishop g4. Black plays here. And then bishop g4 looks like a blunder. And you correctly note that bishop f6 would win the bishop on g4. Good. Correct. Okay. So, same thing I said in our first review with Is He Serious? It is important not to hang your stuff. Very important not to hang your stuff. And that is what will take you to 1,000. Again, bishop f6 can be played. White doesn't see it. Snip, snap. Queen d7. Again, the bishop on f6 is hanging. Bows. Bows. Again now. Well, I guess bishop c6, queen c6. No, again, bishop f6 is hanging. Oh, no. The bishop on f6 is hanging. Finally, it happens. Now, one thing that's curious about this is in the notes, black is not putting question marks. Now, I should say up here, black does say queen c6 might have been better to protect the f6 square. So, notice the highfalutin stuff about supporting the center. In some positions, I'm sure that will be true. But the more basic stuff of not hanging your junk, that's going to be what takes you to the next level. Because now you're down a piece, White finally sees it, and it's not a pleasant situation. Okay. Probably a good move there. There's a question mark, though, with knight c4. Rook a, b d8. The question mark would be, does queen b4 win the knight back? Right? Maybe it does. Queen b4, if b3, I snip. I snip. So then you ask yourself, well, can the knight be protected any way other? I don't see it. Okay, so again, going over your games like this is the way to learn tactics, regardless of your level. You will see new things on the board and become super sensitive to this kind of stuff because this is where the game is decided at this level, right? And let's just say for many times, game one, Nepo ding. Nepo had a very interesting tactic that he missed. So it's not just at our level. Okay. Okay, okay, so there it is. Boom. Fantastic. Knight a5, question mark. And you get it back. And now you're crushing. And I guess rook takes e7, very good. Boom! Mad Cowman won by checkmate. There it is, Mad Cowman. Boom! Okay. So, let's go and take a look at ye old scoreboard here. Uh-oh, my Discord is blowing up. Oh, God. I can't look. Don't look. Don't look. You'll just end up losing your mind, Kraai. Just don't look over there. Whatever you do, don't get distracted. Mad Cow. Let's search for this thing, and let's switch our little scene here. Yo, Mad Cow, where are you, Bows? All right, this is Mad Cowman, and we're going to switch to the scoreboard, and let's check this out. So, oh, there's Pepper Chess right there in the green. And Mad Cowman is now going up 700, 800. We're just looking at how they did it. And 903 gained 26 points. And probably their rating dropped after they reached 950 ChessCom. Okay, so we have a game submitted. And we have loads of mate and ones done. Some workbook, first chess workbook, fantastic. Just some stuff, and per box ticked 3. I have a feeling, again, it was a little higher, probably dipped recently. Okay, good. Let's go on to the next person, and that's going to be the famous Kostya. Now, I'm saying it with a German pronunciation. It just sounds kind of Germanic, Bows. I don't know. Now, Kostya is a graduate, even though it doesn't list him or her as a graduate here. And let's just take a quick look. So, let's check this feature out. Per box ticked, 29 points, my friend. 29 points. A rating increase of 347. Started at 600, 947 now. So, totally flying. And it says that there are some games submitted. I couldn't find them. There's one from the opponent that we'll check out. We got some maiden twos done. Very good. We got some first chess work, but we had a lot of stuff getting done. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, let's switch and go look at the game that Kostkay's opponent, Q Sophie, analyzed. Okay. Decent position in the endgame, then blundered. So one of the things that's really nice before you annotate a game is to construct a narrative, just as how you remember it. In my experience with my own games, it's usually a very simplistic narrative that doesn't see the actual turning points in the game. Let's see, that's when we test Sophie here. Okay, now normally you play e5 there, but okay, fine. e5. Now, I have to admit, I don't know what CM is. Maybe CM is the actual initials for Q Sophie, I don't know. Knight g4, d4. This is a fascinating position. White has lost some time, but the question is, how bad is the knight on g4? Bishop f5 would be the very ambitious move, but okay. Now, one thing I just want to stress, when you take on d4, Kostya, you are liberating this knight to come to the more natural square. As I point out in the aggressive repertoire, where you often get this structure, that knight on b1 is our poor piece, and we must be creative to fix the knight, and here we help fix the knight. Okay. Queen c7, a little funky because it's not clear your queen belongs on the open c file. Your obvious problem is what to do with the knight. So maybe bishop d7. Right, and then this has nothing to do with theory or anything. Kostya is just blowing a piece. Bam! Okay. And it should be said that we could also take on c3, because queen c3, I just move the rook, and you can't take this thing because that thing's hanging. You know, bishop b5, check to the miserable king. But that's probably also fine. And now it's just a yard sale. Okay, so here, let's pause for a moment and ask, could white had done better than that move? My intuition is probably, because queen g7 looks very powerful. Yeah, and knight b5 looks interesting too, with intentions of knight d6 check to the miserable king. Okay, so now we're going to say black has some pawns, but doesn't have the dark squares. That's the main thing. Black doesn't have. Knight c5. Knight c5 is an example of playing before you've developed your stuff. Okay? So, yes, queen f7 is a move, but bishop e3, that's got to be the move. Oh, you can play that move without thinking, because f7 is still hanging. The bishop on d7 is terrible, and we want to start hurting black. Black has got to pay now. Now it's time to pay. It's time to pay. And now with knight c5, there's like, yeah, maybe something like that's going to mess with you. But good move. So queen d4 didn't do anything. Fancy. Boom. Looks correct. Oh, blunder. So, Q Sophie. Take the rook on d8, bows. Take the rook on d8. You're going to be up a rook and a piece. Oh, no. Oh, no. All right. So, obviously, things have gotten a little out of hand. So, one way to talk about it is to say, this shouldn't have never gotten to the endgame in general, right? Now, are you still winning? Yes, but after this, it's going to be hard, right? Yeah. So blunder. Run, force, run. That doesn't look good. Now D2's frisky because your H7 pawn is now running. Whoa. It's now officially hot. And they let you check. They let you do this with check. Check to the miserable king. Now you got chances. Now you got chances, bows. Okay. Time out. Time out. Now we don't know what's happening anymore. This looks like a Puzzle Rush survival situation. You know? This was like anything. This one's like, yeah, this one's a puzzle. This one's a puzzle. Now, maybe you're toast here, but black gave you a lot of joy here, potential joy. Yeah, so queen b7 is our default move. It looks, and then king e3, so they're threatening this and also getting out of dodge. Default move for us could be rook g2 just to stop that, but this game isn't over, okay? So, so a couple of things, Q Sophie. The main problem that you and Baskerg are having is you're dropping stuff. It's just falling off the board, okay? Nothing to do with openings, nothing like that. Studying this game a little closer, you know, you will see that it shouldn't have gotten this far. And then also here, you know, we do things like Puzzle Rush and yada yada. This is like a Puzzle Rush situation. White is at least okay here after queen b7, king e3, queen g2. Or excuse me, rook g2. But maybe you got something even better. I don't know. You know, I don't know. Okay, great. So that was Baskerg. Let's go to Sunship Train here. Sunship Train. Yeah, okay. Boop. Sunship Train. Okay, yeah, I looked at this a little bit. So one of the things about this that I want people to see is what white's going to do is white's going to play knight g5 and knight takes f7. I think in the progress of anybody in their chess career, they will have to come to understand why this is poor, okay? Because on the surface, it feels like, oh, I am forcing the king out, and I get a rook and a pawn, and that's 6 points, and I get a bishop. I give a bishop and knight. That's 6 points. Fair trade, right? No. And the problem is that the rooks at this stage of the game, they're not doing nothing, right? So your minors, on the other hand, are doing something. Furthermore, not a developing move. That's a developing move. Not a developing move, and now what happens is those two pieces that you spent a lot of time cultivating their development, they're gone. All right, let's go. Knight c3, king g8, maybe unnecessary, but okay. Bishop e3, okay. All right. I like this, what black is doing. Okay. Now, I think h5 is probably winning right away, but all right. Nice move. Black's playing great. Now some terrible things happen to black. Some terrible things. Let's see if black, oh, excuse me, to white. Let's see if black can finish it off. That's a good move. That looks very good. Ooh. Oh, man, this guy's evil. Look at this. Oh. Dang. Checkmate. Wow. So black was black was higher rated. And first of all, I want to say black finished you off in very nice fashion. And what we can say about the position is it does highlight how the rooks at the beginning of the game are pretty worthless chumps. And the minors at the beginning have so much more power. And there's a lot of games that show that dynamic. Okay. Let me check in with chat because sometimes I do this and then people are like, boss, you're not looking at the chat, buddy. Hello, do I ever play bullet? No. Can you comment on one of my bullet games? No, boss. No. If you want to do a comment, this is the way it works. If you're in the training program, comment on your bullet game. There's a couple things, okay? Going over your games is the pillar of the training program, first of all. In order to go over your games, you need to be thinking while you played the game. That's why we have time control standards, right? And we allow at the lower level people to play slightly quicker, right? As you get better, you're going to need more time to be doing the hard system 2 thinking. If you're a part of the Dojo training program, I review a lot of games. There's a lot of people in the training program. I try to review as many as possible. And I try every Monday, 1:30 Eastern, to go over the games of the graduates. I also do just game review shows. Okay, so let's go look at Sunship Train over here. All right, Sunship Train. Sunship, let's just search Sunship. And then I'm sure you're saying, somebody's saying, hey, Baus, you didn't switch the scene. I'm about to. Okay, there it is. Sunship Train started 975 ChessCom. It's gained 82 points, 6 points a box, couple annotations, some maiden ones, no maiden twos. First chess workbook. People seem to be enjoying that. I've read or reread most of the Dojo training program books. I have not actually read that one yet, so I'm glad to see that that is working out in our program. Did some classic games. Good. Look at that. So 6 points per box. Great. So I like the name too, Sunship Train. So there it was. And, you know, I think Sunship Train clearly over the 1,000 limit. Later, after the show, I'm going to record a video of my student Jamil making 2,000. So I appreciate that the 1,000 barrier must be a thing psychologically as well. So that is cool that Sunship Train did that. 1050 is, of course, our barrier there. And looks like Sunship Train could already go to 800, 900 if they wanted to. Okay, let's go to the next one. Now, K Maddox does not have a game. So we're just going to spend a second looking at the scoreboard for K Maddox. And let me just make sure I understand what's happening here. K Maddox went from 600, 700, and then this is their new business here with K Maddox. Have done some of the Polgar and done this. So I can't say a lot about K Maddox over here. Maybe I'll just step back a second. There's K Maddox. Gained 47 points. Here I just went back to the 600, 700 where they started off. Did a post-mortem, some maiden twos. Okay, you know, basic stuff. Progressing, fine. Okay, Shimakaze, also no games. Now, when we first started this graduate show, I really yelled at people. Really yelled at people when they didn't do it. Now, Shimakaze started at 600, 700, has gained 211 points. 211 points, my friends. Let's just take a quick look over here. Nothing. Doesn't say anything. Shimakaze, I don't know, buddy. I think you're just crushing this on your own. I don't know if we're helping you out at all. So, let me find Shimakaze here. There he is. So, 917, 1104 current rating. And basically, Shimakaze is not participating in the scoreboard. Okay? All right. Next one. Also no games. Temfine. Let's find Temfine. Uh-oh. I got to go over here and I go find. That doesn't make any sense. Wait, that can't be. All right. So we are now moving dramatically up. Okay, we're going from the under 1,000 crew to the over 1,000 crew. And this is the last person for whom I don't have a game. But let's just take a look. So Temfine graduated from 1314 to 1415 in Australia. Active in the Discord, if I remember correctly. Actually wrote a question for the sensei. I did not find a game, but it might be in there somewhere. And has done some puzzles, done some end games. Okay. Oh, check that out. Some opening sparring. This will give me a moment to say a little bit about our opening sparring. So, you know, when we conceived of the dojo, had a pretty clear conception about what we wanted to do, but it wasn't clear like which parts of the program people would accept, which people would just kind of ignore, which people would be, what would people be mad about. So, for example, the Polgar mates, people, you know, I believed in that very much pedagogically, but I wasn't certain if people were going to really pick up on it. Total success. The sparring positions have been kind of a problem for us both. And I think it's mostly because it's hard for people to organize doing it. But I bring it up because A, Temfine has been doing it. And B, today I released this Chessable course. And in it, I listed the sparring positions, right? So the idea in the dojo training program is that if you don't have a course which has the sparring positions in them, it is up to you to decide what the key positions are. And the advantage, of course, of having a course is just, boom, the sparring positions are there. Now, one thing that people whine about, I think this is incorrectly, so I just want to put it out there, is they're like, well, I don't have to spar it with somebody who knows really what they're doing, who knows the theory. No, 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 no. You will face many opponents who do not know the theory. And the main thing with all these sparring positions is they're not like super knockout, have to know everything positions. There are positions where you need to have a gist of what is going on, a story of the position, and you need some practice playing it. So that's the difference between like the Chessable course I did and other courses, and also the difference between what we're trying to do with the openings than other approaches to the openings. Totally different, right? And anyways, what I'm trying to say is, long story, one of the goals of the Chessable course was to get the sparring really moving, even if it was only within the context of one opening repertoire, the Chess Dojo aggressive repertoire for white. Even if it's just in that, I want there to be motion with people organizing the sparring there. And I think, I'm hoping that one of the reasons that we did not have sparring going was just that people were confused about, well, how do I set up the sparring? What is the sparring? What are the sparring positions? And at least now with the course, I'm like, okay, Baus, here it is. Here are the sparring positions to do. And if you don't know what your own sparring positions are and you still want to spar, it's a great opportunity to just be the guinea pig for somebody who wants to be testing out their aggressive opening repertoire positions, right? It's great a learning experience to have somebody, you know, you try to beat them in their position. Fine, fine. Okay, great. Long story short, Temfine, congratulations. And now we're going to move on to Benwick. Benwick does have a game. And let's find Benwick. Benwick, of course, is graduating also in this 14-15 band. And so, I probably want to go back and search for Benwick here. Oh, it's being annoying. Wait, if I go back in here. Okay, so I don't know, it's not entirely clear where Benwick graduated from, which is a bummer because, well, let's say I go way back here. Where's Benwick, Baus? Where's Benwick? Oh, no. Okay, there's Benwick. So, 1,300, 1,400. By the way, this is a Google sheet. You can see it's a little different and janky depending on which cohort you are in. We have a new website in development, Dojo 2.0, coming, hopefully, in about 20 days, May 1st. We'll see. We'll see how well it goes. Let's take a look at Benwick here. 46 points gained. 1 point per box. That means someone's working hard. Let's see what they did. Some annotated games, 18 of them. Fantastic. Made in twos. Got a lot done. That's good. That's a good number right there. I can tell you that's not easy. Puzzle Rush Survival. Good. I did that yesterday. Got to 67. I still haven't finished yet. I got 2 wrong. 67. Kostya got 69, the jerk. But 67 was the benchmark for my cohort. Okay, so there's the end games. Fantastic. Okay, good. Let's go Dojo game review. And we're going to look at Benwick against Klangspiel. And I promise I'm going to look at the chat. Someone's yelling at me, I'm sure. Oh, they're really yelling at me at Discord. When you get like the 1,000 notifications, you know you're in trouble. But I'm not going to look. I'm doing this. Please first, thank you for subscribing. And that's right, Corporeal. You better fill in your spreadsheet, buddy. Thojan asks, what's the plan for the aggressive repertoire in the training program? Will it be updated based on the Chessable course? I think I kind of laid it out in my last comment. Yeah. Will it be? But you might mean, will the files that I originally have be updated? No, and let me actually explain that. So the cool thing about the Chessable course is anyone can get access to the files, even if you don't pay for it. This is the dirty trick. I shouldn't even be telling you this, but here's the deal. Any Chessable course, first of all, you get a lot of stuff for free, even if you don't want to pay for it. So, for example, there's short and sweet. And for most players, that's what I'd recommend. Don't even try to do the long stuff. And if you do buy the course, I would definitely say you don't have to do, for any course, it's not just my course, you don't have to do the whole thing. You can do the quick starter, which gives you more of a backbone of any opening repertoire. But anyways, what I'm driving at is the reason I'm not going to update the files is A, it's a lot of work, and B, I'm worried Chessable will be mad at me. But the thing I'm saying is it doesn't cost anything if you want to go do the course, because you can just pay for it and get it back in 30 days if you want, right? You get 30 days as a trial. So that's why I'm not going to be doing that as a course. Now, another interesting question. Does a dojo member get a discount? That was our original intention. And the deal with that is that we've kind of been assured that, yes, there will be a discount, but the issue has been that Chessable is so overworked right now that they can't get it together. That's been the sticking point. But that is our intention. They say a couple months and maybe we'll get some kind of referral system. Okay, here we go. This is Benwick. These are all book moves for me, he says. This is ancient theory, ancient. Queen d3. Prepares queenside castling options, keeps everything defended. Okay, and now after this move, they're out of book. Now, I want to stress something about book here. Queen d3 is a nice move, but g6 is a terrible move, and then white plays a terrible move. So it's really important to see that the study of the openings, even here, is not that important. And here I am trying to sell you an opening course. I'm selling you an opening course. Here, I'll even put it in the chat. Chessable, bam. Got a little exclam thing. Selling you an opening course, and then I'm saying it's not that important. So Benwick is at 1,400, 1,500. In our course, someone at 1,400 is allowed to study some openings. But what we say, actually, this pertains to my course, is that the depth should be something like a short and sweet or a quick starter, right? And we're using that even for, hopefully, to guide people who maybe aren't using Chessable, just so they have a rough sense of like, oh, right, I don't want to be going super deep on the openings. Okay, let's read g6, the notes to g6. g6 is definitely a mistake. Now I'm out of the book. I spent 2 minutes here. My initial idea was to develop bishop e3 and castles, then look for a standard battery against his fianchettoed bishop, C variation. But then I figured out that I already have a space advantage and I can make this better and hurt his development with d5. His bishop is forced to retreat, which will damage his piece activity. For both bishops now. Okay, so 2 mistakes in a row. So let's just say this is an ancient position that goes back to Lasker and Tarrasch and all these dudes. And the question for them was castles and can white hold on to the pawn? The answer they said was no. So queen d3 is intended to hold on to said pawn and threaten de. So now the nice thing about queen d3 is how does black hold on to that pawn? Not so easy. And so g6 is just insouciant to the dangers of that pawn. Did you like the word insouciant? So the beauty of part of the beauty of queen d3 is now when you take, whenever this recapture happens, we're holding on to our pawn. So now we're just up a clean pawn, clean pawn. Okay. Now, in addition to missing this, the problem with d5 is now we are going to have a King's Indian structure where c4 on white's part, where white needs to play on the queen side, because this is the pawn, excuse me, the pawns are pointing this way. God, it's not letting me. Where's my arrows, bows? There's a nice arrow, buddy. Not letting me play on the, white wants to play on the queen side, knight on c3 is inhibiting that. Further, it's nice from black's perspective that that we got an exchange, because black's a little cramped, and getting an exchange of a minor piece is a nice thing. So now you play h3. Let's read what you write. Probably not strictly necessary, but I wanted to really emphasize how bad black's pieces are. Light square bishop has no moves, and knight has only 2 squares. Because I wanted bishop e3 anyway, this move seems prophylactic, and with the center locked in the space, I feel I have lots of time to gradually accumulate advantage. Okay. So here's the problem. Black's pawns are pointing this way. King's Indian. White's pawns are pointing this way. This is a pawn move on your weak side. Unless you're going to go crazy with a later g4 to prevent f5. That we don't want to be going h3. Plus, it's not a developing move. Okay? So, interesting mistakes. Bishop g7, bishop e3, and now a wretched move, a5. Let's read what you write. Okay, so I was expecting castles here. I castle, right. So, of course, I don't know what a5 does. I don't get it at all. And the standard plan for white would be castles. I think you're going this way. I'm not totally sure. But then a standard response would be knight h5 or knight e8 followed by f5. Beautiful King's Indian structure. Okay, so a5, totally weird. There's some positions in a King's Indian, like you can play a5, but generally it's to prevent b4 with their knight being here, but the knight isn't there. g4, I actually really like this move. Let's see what you write. My active pieces in space and center control give me the right to launch a kingside attack. I don't want knight h5 on the board, as I want to pry open the pawns. I think g4 is good because it removes yet more options for black. Okay. So, whether it's right or wrong, you are recreating a deep idea here. Oh, are you really going to go on a tangent, Kraai? Okay, go on a tangent. I don't know. I'm obsessed with this tangent. First, I didn't realize until I was a grown man that the French is a mirror image of the King's Indian. In this position, a3 has long been thought of as the main move. It's very controversial because you are moving a pawn on your weaker side. Mirror image, right? But the intention with b4 is that you will significantly slow the counterplay that black will develop on the queen side. So, why am I bringing that up? Because when we look at this position, if you do want to play g4, then your intuition should say, bows. I am playing g4 because I want to stop f5 from happening. And the attack might come later, and if it does, it's a great example of what Nimzovich calls uses the idea of prevention turning into an attack. But the attack is not going to come. That's his side of the board. Black's got it all going on. Now, this is totally weird, c5. And I think your variation's reasonable because you talk about dc and bishop c6. And we obviously have attack on opposite wings here. And now I have a move I like a lot for you. Let's see if you play it. No, I don't like it. Okay, and I know why you played queen d2 too. You're thinking about trying to play for mate. Okay. Queen d2 will probably is going to land you in a worse position if black finds the right move. Okay, so what's the correct move? a4, excellent. Then bring your knight over here and have a nice domination of the light squares. And the point of the domination, the main point of the domination, is to say, hey, bows. Is to say, hey, bows, you are not going to have any counterplay against me on the queen side. It's a prevention. So now b5, I'm going to say black is close to winning. Let's see if they do it. No. This move looks suspicious. The intent seems to be rook b6, but then this rook is on the wrong side of the pawn. So this would need to be justified by a very quick attack. Okay. So right, b5 looks horrendous because now we have opposite sides castling, and this comes with just a simple threat of knocking you out here. Very unpleasant. And of course, it's an engine on the queen side. A great rule of thumb that Kostya created was, maybe I'm just putting this in my own words, but as I understand it, like there's all kinds of positions where you might play bishop h6 to trade off the bishop. You should only do so if you can deliver mate. If you're not delivering mate, you shouldn't be doing it. So, and here it's a great example because the bishop on g7 is black's worst piece, and white's worst piece, best piece, is the bishop on e3. We still need to be playing a4. All right, let's see what black does. They're obsessed. Okay. Now, simple question. How does white actually create the attack that they're dreaming of? Let's see what they do. Knight e1. To allow the supporting f3, which in turn supports h4. It's hard. It's hard. Yeah, we can't go h4 until we protect g4, and g5 would allow knight h5. And it's kind of like white's been waiting to figure that out, right? The good news is I don't know what rook b6 did. Let's see what they wanted. a4, I don't know. Okay. Good. Queen a8, h4. Now, good. What we'll say with queen a8 is now the queen is leaving her man, and now we can imagine black really getting mated. Good move. Now, this mating pattern happens actually quite a bit in the Chess Dojo aggressive repertoire for white. It's especially nice in this position that we have no idea what black is doing over there. I can't figure it out. That ain't it. I'm sure queen g5 was fine. I don't know what that move does. Do I understand that? I elected here to use time that I think I had available to just ensure no counterplay. I could also have won an exchange, bishop e7, but I don't want to simplify this position and cash in as I already have an attack that could be winning on the spot. Okay. So, the last couple moves you lost the thread a little bit. And let's say that the main thing you should be focused on, whether you take with the queen, which feels a little bit more natural, or the bishop, is fixing this knight. So this knight is doing nothing and needs to be a part of the game. if you want to, you could stop the show here and ask yourself, what should white do? Well, white should be playing knight g2, knight e3, and then landed bows. The worst piece becomes the best piece, and once it lands there, we're going to get mate. It will lead to mate. Rook h2 doesn't help anything. I don't know. I don't understand that move. Knight g2? No. I don't get that. Whoa. Yeah. We could have taken the rook, right? We could have taken the rook. Good move. That's not going to help bows. Okay, good move. Good game. So, Benwick, moving on up, and I think this is a good annotation. And, you know, one thing I think is really good about having somebody review your game, or maybe it's just a friend you talk through it with, is you can articulate your thoughts like you did here, and then I can respond to them. It doesn't have to be me, it could be somebody else, of course, right? Okay, very good. Okay, so we're going to move on. Now, did we look? I can't even remember. I think we looked at Benwick. Yes, we did. We're going to move on to Spotted Hedgehog. Let's look first at their games. Spotted Hedgehog has a lot of games in the database, and so does Fido. So that's good. The thing we're going to do mild critique on Spotted Hedgehog is most of Spotted Hedgehog's annotations are sparse. Okay, so in the aggressive repertoire, I recommend h4. This move is also very interesting. And one of the cool things about it is white can do just a variety of different moves here. Knight c3, bishop e2, bishop e3. And it's just this very interesting dynamic where, yes, black might get a good French, but it took them a lot of time. And the second c5 happens, there's dangers for a black of the position opening up when they're not developed. And this is, in general, a move I despise, c3 in this position, because it's time to develop bows. It's time to develop bows. c3 now, if I'm black, I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, they took a little time out. They're not going to bust me in the face, and I'm going to get to develop my pieces. So the things that would scare me would be bishop b5 and c4. Those both look scary. All right, c3. All right. Now you got a good French. Got a good French. Looks reasonable to me, but am I sure? No, that's a good move, bows. That's a great move. Check to the mid. That's not check. That's a good move, though. Thank you very much. You're killing the guy. Oh, that was a good tactic. So Spotted Hedgehog, that's good tactical play right there. Now, I just say you're winning. You're a pawn up, and the bishop is amazing. Good. Simple and strong. Rook fd8. Blundering the piece. Oh, no. Oh, no, Spotted Hedgehog. In a classical game, too. One theory I have, that I'm going to do this video later today about Jamil Crossing 2000. And my theory is that, having looked at a bunch of his games, that were played online, that the games that were played online are just of a much lower quality. And what I mean by that is, like, when I was looking, so I've been working with Jamil for 2 years now, and the dude has progressed from the lower to the upper. And at the lower ends, I would see mistakes that 1500s would make, and I'd be like, well, boss, maybe I could see this person making this mistake at the board. But you think about Spotted Hedgehog has clearly invested a lot of time and energy into their chess, and we wouldn't think that they're going to be blundering pieces. And so what am I trying to say? That if Spotted Hedgehog was playing an over-the-board event, I doubt very much that Spotted would be blundering queen c5. Okay? So here it is, rook fd8, and now we're toast. Let's see if Spotted Hedgehog can make a game of it. Bishop b5, okay. Let's take some stuff. Okay. Yeah, it's a rough life, honestly. Good move. I mean, that's our best shot anyway. Now g5 ain't it. So, I mean, yes, we're lost anyway, but we could still fight a little bit in this position. And definitely a5 comes to mind. Queen a7 here for black, for white, right? Just take the pawn. We're losing our minds here. Spotted has just gone completely loco. Spotted has gone loco. Nice move. I mean, you were kind of toast anyway. Now, one of the things I'll say, Spotted, is I think for sure there's elements of the analyses I looked at, this one being one of them, where the depth, the lack of depth kind of suggests maybe what I suspect is happening in a lot of these games. You're clearly very talented, you've put a lot of work into it, but mistakes are happening because you're not fully all in during the game, right? Oftentimes our annotations can be a reflection of the way we were playing the game itself. And so let's just say, like here up to this level, you're playing fantastic chess and you're strategically winning. I mean, you're winning. You're winning in every category we could call winning, right? Yeah. So I feel that this can definitely, this is something that you can fix without that much effort. Though the effort is real in the sense that, you know, you do have to buckle down while you're playing. And the answer might truly be to play some over-the-board chess, right? I'm going to talk a little bit in Jamil's video about why people are finding it hard to play over-the-board chess. Okay, let's go take a look at the spotted on the scoreboard. I promise I'm going to switch here. And scoreboard, and we're going to look up Les Spotted. So, here's our friend Spotted Hedgehog. And let me just look. I believe Spotted Hedgehog has gone up a couple times. But we're going to look right now at their work at the 1400 level. And 76 points, fantastic. And I want to stress this, my friends. Look at this. 45 games analyzed. And I found them. They're there, dude. They're there. So Spotted Hedgehog is definitely doing the work. Okay? Definitely doing the work. And we got our some maiden twos, some other standard work being done, but mainly focused on going over the games. Fantastic. Fantastic. And I think if, like I said, it's the system 2 thinking that is hard to do, hard to focus on when we're playing online. And so my just general sense is that when Spotted Hedgehog nails that down, either by playing over the board or finding a way to be more focused while playing, that progress is then going to come. Okay, we have Fido, the famous Fido. And Fido, oh man, we got to talk about Fido. We got to talk about Bruno. No, we got to talk about Fido. Now, Fido has graduated, started 12-13, went to 13-14, 14-15, 15-16, and now Fido is 17-18. 17-18. So it's just stunning the amount of work, and Fido's doing the work. Every time we go through any of these bands, Fido is doing the work. So I'm just, that's actually over here, Baus. Find Fido, and then 14. There's 14-15, and you can see every single time, dude's doing work. And Fido's up. I mean, I you know, you guys, it's saying that Fido's now 22-36 ChessCom. Okay, 22-36. And so let's examine the work done at the 16-17 level here for a second. began this cohort at 1980, so a little bit even above where Fido needed to be, gained 256 points. 256, 18 points per box, crushing it. 7 games analyzed, 6 games submitted. I did not find any of those games. The last graduation, actually, wait. Maybe Fido sent me a game. I gotta check. No, not yet. So last graduation show, Fido sent me a game, and I wrote him earlier. I was like, dude, I'm gonna do this show. You could send me a game if you like. Sometimes in these graduate shows, I miss, I miss a game, or somebody didn't send it in at the right time, and that's a great opportunity when I do the regular just dojo game review shows, where often I just choose games just that are recent from the database that Fido can send me one of those games. And I'll look at it then. Fido, where'd you go, Baus? There he is. Okay, so has done a bunch of work. Puzzle Rush Survival, crushing it, 40. That's not, you're not a chump when you get 40. Chess Tactics from Scratch, beautiful. I reviewed that book here on the channel. Capablanca's Best Endings. I read that when I was a kid, beautiful book. I should reread that book, honestly. Art of Attack, beautiful book. I'm going to talk a little bit about that when I do the video about Jamil making 2000. All right? Okay, and there it is, Fido. Fido at 2200 can obviously graduate again, right? And will graduate, I guess, multiple times. All right, my friends, that was a great graduate show. It's always one of my favorite parts of the week. Mildly stressful just because people are sending me 1,000 emails. But in any case, check out the new Chessable course. You can, one cool thing about this, I feel bad, trying to sell something where somebody's going to buy something. This, there's loads of free content, and you can get it 30 days for free as well. So, boom, easy. Easy for me to, with a conscience, try to sell it to you. Okay, so we do this every Monday. Check out the Dojo training program. Here, let me do training. And people are crushing it, man. People are crushing with the Dojo training program. It's one of the most exciting things, fun things I've done in my life. We're going to leave it there. Who are we going to raid? Somebody. Who's the lucky person? Nah, we got a lot of people. I like to raid people I don't know. So right now, let's read. I like to raid people that don't have a lot of people watching them too. Katarina Reinecke. Sag ein Gruß für mich an Katharina Reinecke. Yeah, did it work? This raid has been created, but I don't see it, Baus. Sometimes I raid and I don't see it. I don't see it. So, no, I don't know. I don't see it, Baus. I don't see the raid happening. Oh. Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't work. Anyways, my friends, I got to run. That was great. Ciao.